Talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. The show is called First Things First. And what's my first thing? Prayer. Giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's go. It is a Wealth Building Wednesday. So we're constructing our generational support for family, friends, and self. And we do that each and every Wednesday. Our days have names around here. But you know what other day it is, Miles Lowe? It is Molly Bell's birthday. Happy birthday to the chairwoman of the chat room, the original reparationist, the queen of Compton, the one and only Molly Bell. I hope you have an incredible B-day. The show is dedicated to Miss Molly Bell. In fact, I wanted to have her on, but technical difficulties and challenges have prevented that, but she is here in spirit, and our love is with her. Happy B-Day. Beautiful, beautiful thing. So we're doing that today. We're celebrating Molly Bell. Hour one, we look local. Hour two, we go national, international, beyond. Third hour, we do a deep dive on a hot topic. We kick off hour two with our Wealth Building Wednesday, where we put a BIPOC, Black-owned, woman-owned, local, and or socially innovative business in the spotlight. We are on task to do that, and it should be amazing. We'll be talking Black history, like pre-enslavement Black history, with the one and only Zaza Ali, who'll be joining me here in the studio, which I am absolutely looking forward to. And right now, we have one of my favorite folks to talk to early in the morning. He is an attorney in private practice, a lifelong resident of the 2nd Supervisorial District here in the county of Los Angeles. He's got family on the East Coast, but he's an Angelino, mainly practicing criminal defense and civil rights. He's been running the Person-Lynn law offices since October of 2013. Representing high-profile and low-profile clients in matters from driving on a suspended license to murder. And more, a graduate of Hampton and Howard University School of Law. Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. Always so great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you in, and there is a lot to talk about. It's just because the news cycle is moving so fast and so many things are happening with law enforcement, or law. I don't know what they're enforcing, but it is the law, the PO, the ICE, and all the other agencies that seem to be roaming around with their own philosophies. I thought it would be a nice time to talk about some of our rights and not rights under the Constitution. I know that you're a big Second Amendment proponent, as am I, but you may be even a bigger, not maybe, you are even a bigger Second Amendment, a 2A guy. And the killing of Alex Pretty, the murder of Alex Pretty in Minneapolis, has really enraged a lot of the gun rights folks, right?
Yes. It's well, one, just he was obviously and clearly not using his firearm at any point and didn't have it at all when he was actually shot. But just the I think what's enraging is the notion that because he had a firearm, he was violent or he was there to do harm, as opposed to exercising his right under the Second Amendment while he's exercising his right under the First Amendment to peaceably protest. That's probably what's most upsetting to those in the community that believe in the right to bear arms.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember a lot of us saying WTF about Philando Castile. Why didn't the NRA and some of these other gun rights groups step up and defend him, because he was murdered by police when he had a permitted weapon that he told them about and was not brandishing. This is, of course, a step further because it was in his waist belt or whatever, and he wasn't brandishing it, and they disarmed him before they killed him.
Yes, and we know the answer. Happy Black History Month to you.
Happy Black
Dominique.
History Month to you, Attorney Person-Lynn.
It's the same reason the NRA supported legislation making California no longer an open carry state when the Panthers organized and other groups organized under the law. The law got changed, so the rules will change. And unfortunately, with the deeply rooted institutions in America, you will find racism or anti-blackness specifically, which is why the NRA pretty much stays silent on Philando Castile.
But they're not silent now. It's one of the few times that we've seen the White House kind of, sort of, back off a tiny bit. So they're supposedly now investigating this case, as they refuse to investigate Renee Good, who was also shot in the face by an ICE agent, but she was not carrying a weapon. She was just driving her truck. But what does it mean for our Second Amendment rights if they decide that, because even though the guy had a permit, he wasn't brandishing it, he was carrying the weapon safely, and he was disarmed, that these agents are within their rights to just murder him based on the fact that he had a weapon, which is pretty much what Homeland Security Barbie said. Where does this leave our Second Amendment right if this stands?
Well, just like all of our other rights, it's only a right if respected by the authorities. So if it's a consensus of law enforcement that when you have 3 or more black men in a car, that we're going to pull them over,
right,
then the Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures is not actually a right, or we have to accept the fact that what is reasonable for greater society is pulling over black men when there's 3 or more in a car. Same thing with the Second Amendment. If it's okay to disarm and kill someone because they have a firearm at a protest, then you must understand that we don't have that right. Damn what's on paper. It's about how it's being executed in reality. And if we don't have that right, regardless of what's on paper, we can, and this is one of those things, we can go to any court, and I don't think we'll find a court that says it's okay for what happened to have happened, and that his rights will be executed, or his rights were not, or he was executed for exercising his rights. It's kind of like that desegregation with all deliberate speed. It's like that's what it said on paper, but in reality, we know it didn't happen that way. And that's where we are with it. So but when we go further in those Bill of Rights, the Ninth and 10th Amendments that say, the rights not expressly reserved or stated in the Constitution are reserved, for the states to make the rules, and then ultimately that it's the rights are still with the people. So it would take the people standing up to the government to enforce those rights, and that is the duty of the people. It's just certainly here in the state in California, I think we've gone so far to the other end of the gun control spectrum that it makes those people hypocritical for even stating any protest to Alex Preddy getting killed.
Yeah. And it's very, the hypocrisy is multi-leveled, right? Because the same people that are telling you cannot use race as a basis for any kind of benefit, race, ethnicity, for any kind of benefit, whether it's a scholarship, angel investor, the opportunity to know about a job, those same folks are also saying that it's okay to racially profile, which is what the Supreme Court said, right? ICE can go ahead and racially profile. And that, to your point, 3 or 4 black men in a car do not have the same rights as 3 or 4 of anybody else in a car, which is racially based policy. So it seems like they are having it both ways.
Well, reasonable is a heck of a term in a society that has still not confronted its enslavement of 13% of the population, the current population.
When you put it like that, yeah,
and that's what I'm in a 3-defendant murder case right now, and that's what came up in jury selection. What I discussed, it's like, hey, who has a young person in their home that, in their family or their life, that can come over and open their fridge? And, everybody raised their hand. And then it's like, okay, now if that person brings a friend to your home for the first time and they open your fridge without your permission, would you be offended? Yes. Okay, so we all agree that what is reasonable for one is not necessarily reasonable for the other. And that is dangerous when the standard is reasonableness. And that's what it really comes down to when we have a reasonableness standard. Now, I don't know what the solution is, but the reason why that standard worked when it was written is because it did not apply to black people, certainly not the enslaved black people, but it did apply to, everyone else. And that's why it worked, and that's why in theory it's good. But the reality is the race-based application of the law is always in this country, until it is addressed the way it needs to be addressed, it's always going to leave our people, the descendants of enslaved Africans, and those who look like us, in a worse position when it comes to law enforcement treating us and respecting our rights.
Well said. Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn is here. I'm here. I'm here every day. Miles over there. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. We got more straight ahead. We got a lot to talk about. We got a legal lens on it. We got a progressive lens on it. And we got you on it. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He been married for 6 years. Videotaping his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he say he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church. Getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're at KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consult at 200-2257.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Back to me, back to you, and back to attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn talking about that marvelous and evolving document called the Constitution and where we are with rights or no rights. And it sounded like, from the way you were describing it, Jaaye, that our rights are sort of in flux all the time, depending on what administration is in and what law enforcement decides to make the norm, what they decide to normalize. And especially if they're backed up by an extreme court at the highest court in the land.
Yes, and that had been where we would look to since, the 50s and 60s for reprieve was the courts, as using the letter of the law seemed to be our best avenue for a long time. Then the political landscape changed a little bit and, had a good 20-year run from the late 60s to the 80s. And, then Reagan came. And so we had what we had. And so, but that is completely what it comes down to. Your rights depend on which officer stops you, which judge presides over your case. There's several rulings that are just horrible. I even had a judge, and man, this judge it's like this is not a good judge. But she sits in the L.A. County Superior Court there at the Clara Shortridge Foltz. I was doing a murder case last January, and we did our openings like right after MLK weekend, and in my opening statement, I made a brief mention about the irony that we're here for such a violent act on the weekend that we're celebrating basically the Prince of Peace. And she stopped me in my opening statement and claimed that I was violating the Racial Justice Act by mentioning Dr. Martin Luther King. That in and of itself violated the Racial Justice Act. I explained to her that it's not about race. We have a federal holiday for this man, and the discussion nationally is always about peace that he sought. And that's what I'm talking about, is the peacefulness juxtaposed against the violence of a murder charge, not about race. But in her position as a judge, she stopped me from making that point. And now I could see if she was saying, hey, that has nothing to do with the evidence, and you're making argument, which is for closing argument, not opening statement. I could understand her maybe making a statement like that, but saying I was violating the Racial Justice Act, that's just one of those examples that the judge that you get in front of is going to determine whether your Fourth Amendment rights were violated or not. And so in those instances where I've had a cop just see a black man walking away and they chase them down and stop them and search them, and then a judge, even though I proven that cop lied based on the cop's own body cam and the cop's partner's body camera footage, the judge still saying, well, I just don't think this officer is just totally a liar. And that's what I'd have to believe if I was to grant your motion. And so they don't grant it, which means my client in that scenario did not have rights under the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable searches and seizures. And so hopefully the appellate courts resolve that issue, but it ended up with my client going to prison in a case where he shouldn't have been stopped in the first place.
It's crazy.
So it really comes down to who is there. And I can tell you, I remember the best time to be in L.A. was when Bernard Parks got appointed the chief of police, because officers knew they'd be held accountable for their actions. And I can tell you, even when Obama was in office, overall, there seemed to be a little bit better, even though we had Trayvon Martin and so many others. But when Donald Trump got in office, certainly it emboldened that faction of law enforcement to be able to violate people in ways that I really see based on my profession.
Yeah.
And it's really a get down or lay down type of mentality.
I want to go to Matilda calling us from L.A. Good morning, Matilda.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the radio. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Matilda Haywood. I am calling because African people are the original people in the world, and we were brought to America because people who had become lighter because they're living in colder areas were dying because they did not know how to plant and grow food. So the people who were called white people went to Africa and brought black people to America to help
to enslave and make them work for free. And well, it's funny. We only have a minute here before news, traffic, and sports, Miss Matilda, and you're welcome to stay with us through that. But Attorney Person-Lynn is the son of a renowned scholar who, Dr. Kwaku Person-Lynn, who talks about exactly that, our origins in the more ancient Black history, and that is what we're talking about in Hour 3. Attorney Person-Lynn, you want to address what Matilda said?
Yes, and I think it goes back to that, because being brought here for that purpose and still functioning under the Constitution that was created while we were still in that purpose, I think is a big reason why we have the experiences we have today.
Matilda, you want to clap back? You got 30 seconds.
Yes. We were only brought to America because people who had become lighter did not know how to plant and grow food, and they were dying because they did not have
You know what?
food.
I actually don't agree with that. I think it was also because they're lazy. They were lazy, and they wanted us to do all the work. I mean, that's why people got mad when Shabuzi said immigrants built this country, not because they didn't help, but because initially enslaved Black people built this country. Whatever the reason, that's what ended up happening. Matilda, I'd love to hear more from you. We've got news, traffic, and sports right here, and then Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn and I will continue this convo on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Today, the MTA is giving free rides to honor the birthday of civil rights icon Rosa Parks. Parks was arrested in 1955 for refusing to give up her seat to a white person on a bus. Her arrest and many others are what led to the 1956 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that desegregated public buses. A Detroit Lions season ticket holder by the name of Ryan Kennedy is suing the Pittsburgh Steelers receiver DK Metcalf, former receiver Chad Ochocinco Johnson, and several media companies for defamation and negligence after he says he was falsely accused of being a racist. Finally, the lyrics of a Travis Scott-Don Toliver collab are under fire. In the song Rosary, Scott seemingly references breast implants, leading fans to believe that the line is about his ex-girlfriend, Kylie Jenner. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Escape the confines of the city for the expansive beauty of the Santa Ynez Valley with a short 2-hour drive up the coast. Let Chumash Casino Resort be your destination getaway. Welcome to freedom. Go to chumashcasino.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
In perhaps the most surprising development in the NBA this season, the Clippers have traded 11-time All-Star James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers. In exchange for Harden, the Clippers get 26-year-old point guard Darius Garland, a 2-time All-Star averaging 18 points per game. Garland's health is an issue at the moment. He's been out since January 19th with an ankle injury. The 36-year-old Harden was with the Clippers for 2.5 seasons. He's one of only 4 players in the NBA this season averaging at least 25 points and 8 assists per game. There were expectations that Harden, an LA native, would end his career in his hometown. The 16-year veteran has now been traded 5 times. The question that needs to be answered: did Harden ask to be traded, or did the Clippers approach him and tell him it's time to move on? Much more on this trade in tomorrow's Sports Minutes. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it. call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Speaking of come go with us, Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, I will be at the Herb Wesson Steps in downtown City Hall, 1 p.m. It is a big, huge announcement coming from a new thing called the LA Jazz Festival. And there's going to be music. There is going to be elected officials. It's going to be a party, and you are invited. LA Fed Chief Yvonne Wheeler will be there, other electeds, including the mayor. There will be music. It's all free, and you'll find out about some things. I'm really excited about it. And then the third hour of the show today, we're going to be talking about exactly what Matilda pointed out, as Zaza Ali will be here, and we're going to be talking about pre-enslavement history, which is so important for all of us to understand and at least put out to the world. Paul says in the chat, what good are laws that will never be enforced on the elite? And, that's kind of one of the whole problems with our system, especially when you throw race in. Seems even worse now because you've got oligarchy on top of that. And we see that playing out right now with the budget fight. What the conservatives were trying to hold the line for is something called the SAVE Act, which is something created by, among others, Elon Musk, to make it harder to vote and to require proof of citizenship and, basically to be able to throw people off the voter rolls and make it even more restrictive. And this is something that Elon Musk has said he will primary lawmakers who don't go along, or he won't give them money, and he's back to giving money. So we can see this playing out as a way that the wealthy, in this case, the richest man in the world, have more rights. So certain classes have more rights than others, and more access, and their vote seems to have more power, which is anti-democratic.
Well, it's a unique thing, right? Because when Elon Musk casts his vote, it still counts as one vote, but it's more so about the power to influence. And that's just what it is in our society wherever we go. It's not just like that here in these United States. You go throughout the continent, and there's people, be it their resources or their just popularity, they have more of a sway on the voting populace than the average person. And I just think that's part of the human experience. The issue, when it comes down to it, is that if if in America, when it comes down to money, then that just excludes people from ever having that access without getting that money. But the flip side to that is that when you do have the money, Donald Trump, I believe, is probably the most transactional president we've ever had, at least in my lifetime. And so those with the resources to do so can get things done that they like to get done and have those conversations. You just have to have those resources. And so to me, that seems like the people that are on your side with the resources, it's time for you to coalesce with them, get a plan together, and move towards this administration with that plan in mind, and see where you go and see how far you go. Because, never before in the history of the country I'm not even sure if we've ever had a pardon czar, but if we did, they probably weren't someone that was a black woman that served 22 years in federal prison, nor have we had a deputy director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons who is someone that served 5 years in federal prison. And so when you look at those things on that specific issue, it's like, okay, maybe we can get something done if we have the resources and work not the ways things are supposed to work or how we want them to work, but work the way that this administration works.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's still unequal access, because if you have a black woman who was formerly incarcerated, look at the way the pardons are going, and what is being alleged is that you pay $1, $2, $3 million and you're going to get a pardon. I mean, it's not that, now we have this black woman with lived experience and she's pardoning black people and poor people in droves. No, it's the scamsters, the fraudsters, the sex pests, the drug dealers that are getting, and I'm not talking about street drug dealers, I'm talking about cartel bosses like the president of Honduras, like that internet drug dealer guy whose name I can't think of right now. Those are the people that are getting pardoned. So it's somehow the fact that she's a black woman hasn't changed the fact that it's pay to play.
Well, the system is the system, and that's what's important for anyone to note. Like I mentioned Bernard Parks, but the LAPD was still the LAPD, even with him at the helm.
I mean, he always said he held them more accountable. But yeah, to your point, you still have the commission and the mayor and the system itself, and the racial profile. He might have held people accountable, but the racial profiling and the murders of civilians still continued.
Yeah, and so it's gonna be the system until that system is changed, which is, once again, if we read a little further in the Declaration of Independence, it states that when the government ceases to meet the needs of the people, it's the duty and the right of those people to abolish that government. So I want to be clear, I'm not an anarchist. I am someone that read that portion of the Declaration of Independence,
but the
and
irony,
as an American,
go ahead.
Feels it's my duty to uphold that American principle of maintaining and creating a government that serves the people.
Understood, but the irony of that is that was the whole logic behind the Second Amendment, right? We might need to overthrow a tyrant.
Which is why it is so difficult for me to see my people participate in the political, the two-party system with the party that is so anti the citizen having the protections that they need, that was put into the Constitution for the purpose of ensuring that a tyrant will not control America.
But it's both parties that do that, Jaaye, because the Republican Party is pro-gun only for white people. They're not pro-gun for us.
Well, that is a historical fact. But at least in name, It's like, come on, man. You
in
can't
name,
just
don't
be
do
with
it
the
for
people
me.
That's anti-gun. Hey, man, look.
Well, and are all Dems?
Any...
I mean, are all Dems? Our mayor had her guns stolen by somebody during the election. I think if you ask most black men and women who are Dems, well, at least the regular people, I don't know about lawmakers, they're going to be pro Second Amendment. I mean, I think it's a stereotype to say that the only 2A folks are in the Republican Party, especially since they exclude us black people from having weaponry.
Certainly, but it's just been my experience here, and I did see you at the King Parade. It's just when I tried to yell your name, it was somebody with a speaker on a bike or something rolled by.
It was so loud.
I couldn't catch you.
Well, hi.
But but being at the King Parade, I was like, wow, I pretty much know all of our representatives, those who were in the parade, and I can't think of any of them that would speak up for gun rights in any kind of way. They just won't have the conversation publicly, and it seems to me that comes from on high in the Democratic Party, that if you speak any kind of positively about, the fact that we can only have 10 rounds in a magazine, but law enforcement can have 17, 18, 20, 30, however many they can
and
fit.
rocket launchers
That's
and tanks and I mean, I agree, but I don't know that maybe it comes from on high. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it's an election and campaign issue, But in any case, before we let you go, and we'll do this when we come forward, I want to talk about a little bit more about the Fourth Amendment, because ICE has a memo that was sent around that says that they do not need a warrant to enter our homes, and so I want to understand, and where are we with the Fourth Amendment? I mean, you've talked about the relative nature of all of our rights, but it seems like the Fourth Amendment is having a serious moment right now, and so I want to get your lawyerly take on how we should proceed as citizens, especially if we're activists, protesters, or immigrants, or people who could be mistaken as immigrants, when the cops come to our doors or our vehicles, when ICE does, when the feds do, Homeland Security does. We'll get those answers from attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Not everything announces itself. Some things simply arrive, and the room is compelled to adjust. This is grooming without apology, without noise, without compromise. Gods and money, organic formulations, clean precision, crafted for skin that does not ask for permission to be felt. Element Cream, a rare hydration layered like an oud at dusk, measured, enduring, unmistakably masculine, moisturizing oil, a quiet revolution, restoring what stress, climate, and time attempts to claim. This is not skincare. It is composure made visible. It is inevitability. Gods and money exist impeccably. Discover the ritual at godsandmoney.com. godsandmoney.com. That's godsandmoney, MONY.com.
LADWP customers get rebates up to $4,000 when you buy a used electric or hybrid vehicle. Installing an EV charger at your home? Get a rebate for that too, up to $1,500. Visit ladwp.com/EV today and start saving. That's ladwp.com/EV. USC Visions and Voices invites you to the LA premiere of Major, an exciting new dance theater performance exploring the legacy of Majorette dance. Directed by award-winning choreographer Ogemdi Ude, Major combines music and movement to explore what it means to be proudly Black and proudly femme. Join us on Wednesday, February 4th at USC's Bovard Auditorium. Reserve your free ticket now at visionsandvoices.usc.edu. That's visionsandvoices.usc.edu.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in Black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized, the families who watched their inheritance disappear, the wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You belong here. We're glad you are here. Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn is here. So I was asking about the Fourth Amendment, not just in general, but in this moment where there's reportedly a memo going around to ICE Customs Enforcement that they don't need a warrant to go into your house. So what do we do, or what is the deal when the cops come knocking, when the feds come knocking?
Okay, so what I want to be clear about is that memo is saying that people with a final removal order and who have been through the process, had their due process respected, and the government determined they were to be removed. When those people are in a home, that an administrative warrant from ICE will be enough to get you in that home to remove those people. That's a very specific issue, so it's not saying that ICE can just enter your home, period, like if they're chasing someone that they think is an immigrant and, your door happens to be open and they run in your door. They don't have that necessarily. But in the case where someone has had that final removal order issued against them, then that administrative warrant is enough.
Well, first of all,
now,
explain the difference between an administrative warrant and the one from a judge. And how would you even know?
So an administrative warrant is one that's done internally by that agency, Department of Homeland Security, ICE, which ultimately falls, I believe, under the Department of Homeland Security. That is their agency did that. You have administrative law judges. I'm not even sure it would come from an administrative law judge, which is not like a court legal judge, but just that office, that agency issues the warrant versus someone at the federal level who has been vetted. And when you become a federal judge, you get vetted to the point that anything that you've ever written that they can go get from your university, your middle school, high school, whatever, they will look at that. They will talk to everyone that they can that purports to know you and go through a thorough background check. Now, that doesn't mean you end up being a great judge, but it does mean you've been through the vetting process and you have looked at an issue yourself and said, okay, there is a reason under the laws of the United States to go in this home, and you signed it. That is the warrant that is mentioned in the Constitution that is needed to go into someone's home under the Fourth Amendment. But an administrative warrant is one like, most people in those agencies have never went to law school, have never got any kind of significant legal training. They're like law enforcement. So it's basically like the police saying, hey, we can do this regardless of if a judge agrees or not. That's what the administrative warrant is in a nutshell.
And you're saying the memo gives them only permission in that very narrow situation, but they're going to say that we think that person is there no matter, we think a person who is due to be deported is there no matter what. They're going to say that even if it's, an African-American, 10th generation freedman.
Certainly. Now, what needs to be understood in this conversation and in this context is that a U.S. Supreme Court authority stops at the borders of the U.S. But we are dealing with an administration that invaded another sovereign nation and removed their sovereign leader to bring them back to the U.S. based on a U.S. warrant. With that being said, that is the mindset that we are going with. So your home within these United States, if that sovereign nation wasn't going to be respected and they were going to do what they were going to do to that sovereign nation, you have to understand that they're going to do what they want to do to your home. And you need to prepare and act accordingly because there will be a time when I think, things will be adjudged differently. But right now we are in that moment that history will look back on and be like, wow, that was crazy.
Yep,
like
for
we
sure.
Look at Germany under Hitler and like, oh, wow, that was crazy that it happened. But in the moment, it was happening.
Right, and that's where we are.
People need to understand that is where we are, and you need to act accordingly. So unless you're willing to stand up against ICE on that level, then understand that they're going to come in.
I mean,
right and wrong is something that will be addressed later.
That Nicolás Maduro example is powerful. Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, like, you think if they don't need a warrant for a whole president with sovereign borders that they're going to respect your little front door? It's a great point. What does prepare and act accordingly mean, though?
It means that for you to be there to see it ultimately adjudged unlawfully in a court one day, you have to be alive to do that. And if you're going to put your life on the line, and for some people, I get it. The Constitution is worth it to you, that you're going to die for it and be the martyr, and maybe your death will spark the change that's necessary.
Okay.
But just know that is what it's going to take, because these people who have shown you at least 2 occasions that they will kill, and I'll say 3, rest in peace to the brother Keith Porter here in Los Angeles, that you don't even have to be on duty to force that. So we have 3 instances where they're telling you we will take your life if you get in our way. Just understand that is where we are, and that is the understanding that we have to have in the moment if it is your desire to live beyond that moment. Otherwise, understand you are putting your life on the line, and there's probably not going to be any repercussion anytime soon.
So well said. Willie Ellis in the chat asking if you could talk about what rectification means for an amendment. Just got a minute and a half here.
Rectification, I mean, to rectify typically means, and hopefully I understand the question. I've never really considered it on that form, but, to rectify is like to create basically what I'm talking about. I think in the future we'll look back at this time and say, okay, we went a little far in that moment.
Or a lot.
Maybe we shouldn't. But the reality is the next administration of the ilk of Donald Trump will reinstitute it. And when these things happen, it pushes the needle to a certain degree that obviously Donald Trump got elected. So the next person that is opposing Donald Trump in that regime, which will likely be J.D. Vance at the top of the ticket in the next cycle, they're going to be closer to that. I don't think they're going to be completely opposed to what has happened because it's being normalized right in front of our eyes. So when the discussion of rectification, I'd imagine that it means that at some point we're going to have some judicial ruling or some act of Congress or some administration that comes in and says, that was wrong, we went too far, we need to do it right now. But just as history tells us, that's only going to last so long because, it was Nixon that instituted the war against drugs, and everything that happened from that, we are still dealing with 50 plus years later. So to say that it's going to be completely rectified, that will take a complete overhaul of the system and abolition of the system as we know it, and a rebuilding of a system that is inclusive of the rights of descendants of enslaved Africans, because that treatment of us by this government is the precedent that was set to allow everything that's going on right now. So without that being addressed and rectified, it will continue.
Yep, the whole doggone system. Attorney Jaaye Person-Lynn, we're up against news, traffic, and sports, but thank you so much. You can find him at Lincoln Lawyer LA on Instagram and elsewhere. Always love talking with you.
Love talking to you, too. Thanks for having me, Dominique. Have a great day.
And you as well. Wealth Building Wednesday next, right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Esbeck with BIN News Now. Today, the MTA is giving free rides to honor the birthday of civil rights icon Rosa Parks. Parks was arrested in 1955 for refusing to give up her seat to a white person on a bus. Her arrest and many others are what led to the 1956 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that desegregated public buses. A Detroit Lions season ticket holder